When was the last time you intentionally made yourself uncomfortable?
You're now listening to the Student of Life podcast.
Well, welcome everyone to Student of Life, and we're actually doing a live taping here at Sequoia Cigar Company, or is it Sequoia Cigar Lounge here in Visalia? Let me ask the owner, Sequoia Cigar Company, Sequoia Cigar Company. And I want to thank you for allowing us to film here today. I'm actually here with Johnny V, the one and only, and Tim is actually with us once again from a undisclosed location in Ohio. Well, once again, we definitely want to thank you all for joining us for another episode. Tim and Johnny, I'm going to go ahead and ask you both once again the same question. When was the last time you intentionally made yourself uncomfortable? Tim, I'll let you go first.
Ooh, aside from waking up in the morning and looking in the mirror, I would have to say probably the other week when I took a step and applied to a new position recently.
All right. So, that new position, did you want to elaborate on that new position or do you want to leave it right there until we go into the full package?
I'll leave the details until I'll elaborate later. I'm gonna leave this as a cliffhanger.
Okay. Cliffhanger it is. All right. Hey, Johnny,
How's it going?
when was the last time that you made yourself uncomfortable?
Crazy enough, it was actually today, reaching out to people and, making sure they're okay, trying to film and do the 5 minutes of soul. I reached out and dabbled in that as a little bit today. So yeah, a little bit out of my comfort zone. A lot of people don't know that I'm actually not very social. Everyone says that I am, but it's because I push myself out of my comfort zone in order to do little things just like that.
So when you say that you pushed yourself, was that something that you had to push yourself hard to do? Or was it just a little bit of a nudge?
It was a solid nudge for sure. Not so much of a, "Oh my god, I'm gonna die if I have to do this." No, it was just a little nudge for sure.
All right. So since you both gave a little time when you felt uncomfortable, let me just let you know I woke up early, took care of the puppies, hopped on the road for 5.5 hours, uncomfortable in the car for 5.5 hours, rested for a little bit, and now we are here. Now we are here. This is my first time doing a in-person live podcast in this format. So very first time. I've done other ones, where I've been in convention halls and stuff like that. We set up real quick, but this is the first time with the amount of equipment. So stepped outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah. Hey, you're doing great though. It's honestly like the setup is amazing. Like if you could see what I'm seeing, look in the glasses and I'm sure you can see like this grand, grand thing that he has set up for us here, which I'm truly appreciative. It gets us to do something great.
So I did not pay him to say those things. He's saying that, the setup's nice and everything like that. Nobody's being paid to say these things, but I'll make sure your check is in the mail. Okay.
Yeah. Slide it under the table.
Yeah. 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 So Tim, don't expect that your checks are going to be in the mail anytime soon.
Don't hold your breath. You're going to start turning blue soon.
Hopefully that makes you comfortable, right? Now, getting back to the topic a little bit, I'm really wondering if we've kind of become a little bit addicted to comfort itself. And that's really what I want to hit on today. It's just this culture of convenience, this modern lifestyle that we have. We can DoorDash, we can have somebody do our own shopping for us, right? Comfort, comfort, comfort. You know, I remember back in the day, and it might be getting a little bit too deep in the setup, right?
It's okay. That people in here.
Oh, okay. I'll roll myself back in and save it for the full package. But, there is a difference between peace and comfort. Wouldn't you say, Johnny?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Peace and comfort, they can go hand in hand, actually. There's big differences between being at peace and being comfortable.
Tim.
No,
Have
Johnny
you-
actually said that. Well, he said it well as far as being at peace or feeling peaceful. So I think it all depends on how you're defining peace or how you're utilizing the word peace versus comfortability or something of comfort. So I think there are instances where they could tie together, but yeah, there are also vast differences between both of those as well too.
Wow. Okay. Now, I know you brought up the fact that you just, applied for or you just interviewed for that new job and everything like that. Would you say that you were comfortable in your current career or are you uncomfortable actually applying for this new job?
Both. So
Okay.
I think it's somewhat of complacency in my current job. I don't think it's pushing me, to the areas that I want to be pushed in and the ways that I want to be pushed. And I think a lot of the stuff that I've spent a lot of time and energy and money over with training and education and, building my skills, I don't really feel like I'm being able to utilize those a lot. But I also feel like it was a little bit out of my comfort zone to apply to this job where I don't know. I have an interview next week for it, so I'm fingers crossed.
All right. And we're saying next week, and that would have been a few weeks prior by the time this launches. So
Yes.
whoever's watching this, he may already be in that new era
Right, right.
with the new job, if that's what, he really wants and God really wants for him. Right, Johnny?
Yes, sir. Amen.
So let me actually ask you, does faith call us into uncomfortable seasons?
I'll speak on my faith, of course. Most definitely, yeah. In my faith with Jesus, you are called to be into uncomfortable positions because it's like being comfortable is also considered a little bit hand in hand with being stagnant. You know, some people get comfortable where they're at and are actually instead of stagnant, I guess you could say complacent. So in my faith itself, you don't want to even get complacent in faith only because with being complacent in faith, like myself, I'll put myself out there. You could come up to me and say, "Hey, give me a verse for this, this, and this," and I could not verbatim say something out loud. I couldn't just regurgitate something, and to me, that right there is being stagnant or complacent right there. So in my faith, it does ask you to push yourself out of those comfort zones to be able to study more, get more into the Word of God, and that way you can be a better Christian itself.
Well, there it is.
There it is.
There it is. So, Tim, back to you. Okay. Comfort in parenting. Do you want to talk about that or do you want to talk about comfort in
Mhm.
relationships? Which one do you want to hit on right now?
I think comfort and parity is a bigger one, but also I guess it ties into relationships because it's a relationship with your children,
It is a
the way you
relationship with
raise
your
them. So
children. Yeah.
but yeah, there are, and I've been guilty of myself becoming complacent to where, there's times where, I'm completely drained and it's much easier for you to say, hey, go watch something on TV, go play with an electronic device, go eat whatever you want. If you want to have cookies for breakfast or if you want to, watch a Marvel movie, whatever at 10 o'clock at night, like there is that level of kind of comfortability where you're just like, hey, I just need that like extra 10 minutes or 20 minutes to mentally reset or to physically reset. So yeah, I'm completely guilty of that. Now there are levels to that where you see people and parents that get a little bit too comfortable, and I think that's when you tie into them lagging on the parenting aspect and just becoming more of a friend to their kids.
Ooh, that is a interesting point. Being a friend to a child, you don't want to fall into that trap. You don't want to fall into that trap. I don't have any children, but I was raised by parents. I have tons of friends like yourself, like Johnny, who have children. And then I've seen other, parents, and this isn't to disparage any other parents out there, but this is just our take, right?
Mhm.
And our stance. So
Hopefully, most people's stance on that, not to be too close to your where you're their friend and not their parent. So that way when you do have to put your foot down, and I'm pretty sure Tim would agree with this, because once you're their friend, when you put their foot down, they're thinking like, ah, that's so funny. Good, you're funny, Tim, instead of you're funny, Dad. No, it's harder to put your foot down if you're their friend versus their parent, right, Tim?
Yep,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I really want to try to bring in some of the guests that are here in person with us at the lounge to get their take, but we're going to wait until the full package and bring them on for that. So one thing I will say is that we're going to make this one a little bit of a shorter episode. And that's only because we don't want to take up too much of their time. We want them to be able to enjoy themselves without all the production gear and everything like that here. But what I will say is stick around because we're going to discuss whether comfort is actually costing us our potential, which in the full package, you'll be able to see the whole deep dive into the topic. And if you're a member, you'll also be able to follow right along with us over on the Patreon because that's where it's at. The full package is in Patreon. So We hope to see you on the other side.